Hi folks, 5 o'clock in the morning now. We're just getting up and leaving London now. We're heading off to Victoria Coach Station, and then from Victoria Coach Station we're going to go all the way up north to somewhere just outside Coventry, where the Dairy Tech 2020 festival will be. I think they're expecting more than 40,000 people there today. And we're quite lucky because we have a stand which we're bringing with us, and we have a floor space that's dedicated to us over there. And then we'll be invited for a couple of talks on a panel or two throughout the day, which I'll film and I'll show you. And yeah, so now we have 2 hours of trip to get there, and we're taking the bus. So let's see how that goes. Anyway, see you. I think from what I heard, there are 40,000 people that will be going to this Dairy Tech 2020 event, so that's exciting. Anyway, I'm a bit too tired for this now, so see you in a bit. Tube's not open yet. Everyone's waiting. But whilst in the tube, I thought a bit about the event, and I think it's going to be an interesting one because 2019 was really the first year where farmers started to receive a little bit of stick and of criticism for what they do to the environment, and it's a real big change for the industry because until then, farmers were really sort of cherished and protected, and everyone loved them, everyone wanted to support them. Now all of a sudden we have a role reversal pretty much, where the picture is a bit the nasty people in the whole business. So it'll be interesting to see in early 2020 what people think of that, whether there are already sort of wholesale changes that people are making to accommodate for these opinions. Who knows? Hey, sir. Oh, yeah, Coventry. Yeah. Cool, thank you. Just arrived here at Dairy Tech 2020. It's full of wonderful companies and wonderful people, and we've just set up here at this small stand, T13, for anyone who's interested in coming to talk. And we'll be here all day, and we're going to be presenting afterwards at 3 o'clock at the Innovation Center stage. See you then. 2020 already, and we're just talking a bit about PO, what it means to convert to organic agriculture, and especially the dangers and the difficulties that are found in the transition period. And so we're here all day. We've been having some wonderful talks with farmers who previously were organic and now aren't organic and want to actually come back to being organic. And back at Dairy Tech 2020, we're here by the stands. We've had lots of wonderful people come to visit us today, and actually I'll show you around. So everyone is packing up slowly by slowly. Most of the visitors have left. Okay, so over here on the left behind me is the stand, and this is the place where I made a brief presentation earlier on in the day, just about, you know, Puyo, what it is, what's the transition, what are the problems that are in that transition. And I got a lot of people interested, actually. I got some farmers who previously were organic and who, you know, stopped being organic for various reasons, who were now interested in coming back to it. They said, okay, now the transition isn't so much of a hurdle for me anymore, so I might, you know, come back and become transitional again, and eventually organic. So that was very good. We've had a bunch of contact with different companies in completely different spheres of the industry. We've made a Russian friend over here who's doing some wonderful stuff as well. And, you know, a bunch of machinery that's very impressive. And, oh yeah, so we met with David Poussier, who's from the Consumer Brands UK, which is a sort of version of C'est qui le patron, but in the UK. And we had some wonderful talks with him. He gave us some very valuable advice. And we've been very impressed by all the other companies that are out here in the event, let's say, the exposition. I'm not sure what you call these sorts of places, but very wonderful. It's obviously our first experience with our own, you know, sort of stand, which means that I'll show you in 2 seconds, but which means that, you know, our stand is still very primitive, but it's a beginning, and there we go. Everyone's packing up right now, end of the day. Now the trip back to London starts, and we will reflect on what has been a very productive and very successful day. A lot of new contacts and a lot of new questions which I have to ask myself when I have time, when I head back. So that's always good. Overall, very, very positive. Let's grab a copy of Farmers Weekly and then off to London. So, this is Coventry. Welcome to Coventry. This is still post Dairy Tech 2020. I'm stuck now in Coventry, which is not exactly what I was expecting. Anyway, I'm stuck here for a couple of hours whilst I await my bus. The bus should arrive in about an hour now. I've had something to eat, and now I'm walking around whilst I wait for the bus. And I think this is a good moment to reflect on some of the things that which I may have learned today at Dairy Tech, because I did a small presentation in front of a couple hundred people in the afternoon, and that was very good. There was a little bit of a Q&A session at the end, which was interesting because sometimes you get questions which, you know, are completely beyond the scope of anything you've thought of before, whether they're, you know, good questions or bad questions. And sometimes what's interesting is what on the surface appears to be a stupid question is actually one of the best questions you will look at. So that was interesting, and it was a good experience. I mean, the more you do this sort of presenting, the more you feel at ease and the more you enjoy doing it, actually. So this is some sort of Hollywood Walk of Fame or something with these stars on the ground here in Coventry. Anyway, we're in the Chinese district right now of Coventry, which is very interesting. So it smells of Chinese food. But so that was one of the lessons, was presenting in front of a group of a couple hundred people. Sometimes when we get the Q&A session, the questions which on the surface appear to be the most stupid questions can sometimes bring you the most. So that was interesting. And then something else which I learned was, and I try and apply this philosophy in life in general, especially when I'm sitting on something like an airplane or a bus, for example, like this afternoon, is to always talk to the person next to you. The person that's right next to you is an opportunity, and if you don't, engage with that opportunity, then obviously nothing's going to happen from it. So this afternoon, I had this wonderful Russian guy who I filmed. Actually, he was in one of my vlog sort of sections. He appears a bit, and he was wonderful. And we're actually going to try and make some sort of enterprise together, because we both liked what we had to say, and what he does sort of ties in roughly with what I do, or at least the context that I have. So we're going to try and make that happen. And that's the lesson basically. Is always talk to people who are next to you. So this guy Andrei, Russian guy, I spoke a couple of words of Russian with him. Was a great contact and a great person to meet. We have similar ideas and similar way of thinking about life, and so we're gonna try and make something happen together. And then equally, I got to talk with someone called David Poussier, who I've known from afar, I would say, from a distance, for quite some time. He's setting up something called the Consumer Brand UK, which is the UK version of a very successful, let's say, label or brand of food products in France. In France, it's actually called C'est qui le patron, which means who is the boss. And the idea is that there's a sort of disenfranchisement of the consumer in the brands that we purchase today, and he wants to reverse that and put really consumers in the driving seat of decisions made around brands that we purchase every day. So David Poussier, that's him. And he's really setting that up at the moment, and a label and sort of a brand, both very similar. And so we got some good talking points going over there, and we exchanged some contacts. And there might be, some room for a collaboration down there as well in the future. So always useful to speak to the people around you. And then maybe someone again this evening when we're traveling back to London, maybe on the bus. But yeah, wonderful day, lots of interesting lessons learned. And obviously this beautiful city of Coventry, very quickly visited. Including artwork here on the back. But yeah, wonderful day overall.